So today we're going to work on a wet on wet two-color blend. Just like with our first video, I'm using a simple shape and now I'm blending two colors. In my journal, I used colors that were close to each other on the color wheel, meaning red and orange, orange and yellow. So you get the variation. Now the thing that's key with wet on wet is you get that blend. And this is a really great thing to practice. So just like with the first video, I already created a little piece of paper here with my leaf shapes. And it doesn't matter what colors you use, it's more about the process. So the first thing I'm going to do is wet all of my leaves with just clear water. This will give the paper some time to absorb that water.
And that's why I love this exercise, because it's great practice to develop your feel for how much water you need to use.
So now when you're working with blends, you want to see if you want a 50-50 blend, if you want it to be totally random, determined by whatever's on your brush, or a little more controlled. So maybe I just want the tips of the leaf to have a different color. That will be very beneficial in a lot of paintings. So once again, I'm just going to take the colors that are on my palette. I'm not going to mix them, but I will combine them somewhat strategically, sticking close to colors that are near each other on the color wheel, just like from the sample. I'll start in the center here. I have this lemon yellow, and so I'm going to fill in a good portion with that nice light color. And because I'm putting it onto that wet leaf, the color's already moving around a little. I'm going to rinse off my brush, and again, it's still a number 6 round brush. And now I want to choose a color for just the tip of the leaf, and I'm going to choose this orange. So I can just come in here and dab that color. Because it's darker than that yellow, I have to be careful how much I add so that you can see it's starting to take over. So I'll come back in with my pigment, go around the edge. And I like that blend. It's kind of doing interesting things. And now I'll just practice using the same technique to see what it does when I add more or less of that pigment. So I'll come up here on this one.
And this is a great chance to really practice blending colors. You get to practice the amount of different pigments to use if you want to have a lot of highlights. You learn to develop a feel for if you need to re-wet the paper, or make your pigment even more watery or more intense. And if you make a blend that you're not fond of, well then, just go to the next one and keep working it until you get the results you like. Even if you make a mistake, there's just so much to learn from this process. That's one reason I really enjoy these exercises, because I get repetition and lots of chances to actually observe my work, see what I'm doing, and see what I want to change about it. So here I'm working on another leaf. I'm going to use my same colors and see if I can get a different result. It's really great practice to use the same colors, the same shape, and see all the different ways it can look different. I learn from each one of these and see if I find something I like or something I don't.
I really like the blends it's achieving because I can see slight puddles on my paper. If I tilt the paper, I get a very interesting result. It's a little more spontaneous and a little more natural. And now I can come in here and choose if I want to add a little more color.
Because I want to continue to use the wet on wet process, I make sure that my leaves are still wet from the initial layer. And they are. So that orange will start to move around. If it doesn't move around enough, I'll just go back in and add some water to my brush to help make that blend.
And again, I can come back in with that yellow. Help it along. Sweep some of that orange back to place. And then tilt my paper again to get a very unique result.
And so now when the watercolor pigment dries, it will dry lighter, but still quite beautiful.